Hamilton's first year at Ferrari has just gone from bad to worse as the tumultuous start hasn't improved much, and he managed to grab himself a 5-place grid penalty going into Monza. The way he managed to grab this penalty was by ignoring yellow flags, or actually failing to slow down in time for yellow flags at the final banking at the Dutch Grand Prix. The yellow flags were shown to improve marshal safety, and this was during the recon laps before the race, and Hamilton failed to slow down during these yellow flags. He did slow down, but just not in time, so the original 10-place grid penalty that they were going to give to him was then dropped into a 5-place grid penalty. Now, he's already facing a lot of pressure from the Ferrari fans, the F1 world in general, and the media, and probably Ferrari management and higher-ups already, because he has a massive price tag as his salary. It's a rumored $100 million a year, and he definitely is not performing at a $100 million a year level. He's currently sitting below his teammate Charles Leclerc in the championship. He has 109 points compared to Leclerc's 151, and I believe he's currently 6th in the championship. The only top driver below him is Kimi Antonelli. I know Yuki Tsunoda is below him, but I don't know if I'm able to count the second Red Bull seat as a top drive anymore. So technically 2 top seats are below him, but one of them's a rookie, the other one hasn't had a full season and is in the most cursed seat in the entire grid, so he's not doing good. Let's just put it that way. Lewis Hamilton has yet to grab a podium for Ferrari. He is the driver who's taken the most Grand Prix so far to grab their maiden podium for Ferrari. Who knows if he'll ever grab it. I assume he will, just because he's Lewis Hamilton. He's not a bad driver. But he's currently tied with a private entry from way back in the day, so technically out of the factory Ferrari drivers, he already has that record. Going into Monza, if he doesn't grab a podium, he will be the sole owner of that record, regardless of how you look at it, factory drivers or private entries. So he really needs to get it done, and he has kind of handicapped himself here by getting himself that grid penalty with what is honestly just carelessness and lack of attention to detail. But this is kind of expected, as he does look checked out already. Like, if you look at Hamilton in interviews, he looks depressed. He has that sort of 2020 Sebastian Vettel aura to him right now, but he hasn't had the defining 15, 17, 18 type of Vettel seasons to go along with it to have a little bit of good faith within Tifosi for him. So he's just gone in and straight up delivered a 2020 Vettel, and the 2020 Vettel was even more acceptable because I think the car was worse and he was already fired at that point. So I don't know, Hamilton really needs to find something right now. I mean, at best he's grabbed a couple of P4s, but it's mainly been around the P6, P8 area. So if he doesn't pick it up, I think Ferrari will seriously be considering looking at replacing him, dropping Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion. It's incredible to be even saying those words and not saying them as like satire, but being fully realistic. But yeah, he's being paid $100 million a year. I think the Ferrari fans would prefer that the $100 million was given to Leclerc instead, or 50 to Carlos Sainz, or literally any driver on the grid being paid a whole lot less to deliver at least the same results. Sainz, maybe he should have stayed. I think a lot of fans currently think, Ferrari fans specifically, think that Sainz should have stayed. But if he was replaced, who would replace him? If I was Ferrari, I would keep him until 26. I'd go through with the contract and not renew him, because at the end of 26, there's going to be a lot of movement. There's going to be a lot of free drivers. Depending on where you are, I think you kind of get free pick if you get the regs right. So Ferrari could instead just drop the $100 million on Verstappen, and I think it would be an immediate improvement. Even if you don't want to get into the controversial talking about like driver level, I think that Verstappen is a better driver, but I think also as he is younger, he is going to adapt much easier, and I think he would bring GP over. Hamilton didn't bring Bono over. You see the little bit of miscommunication that happens constantly between Hamilton and a pit wall. So I think, eliminating that and a younger driver with higher adaptability coming in would probably be good for Ferrari. I think they would rather put the 100 million into that, but I think that's also up to does Max want to go to Ferrari? Why would he if the form is what it is right now? However, I think George Russell could also be an option, which would be kind of funny considering, Hamilton kind of got run out of Mercedes because of Russell and Antonelli. Or maybe they snatch up Antonelli. Maybe Mercedes has had enough and Ferrari just goes like, the Italian protege, we'll grab that, because what's better than an Italian protege in a Italian red car? Nothing. And if Hamilton were to be dropped, what would he do? Would he retire? I don't think so. I think Lewis Hamilton, I think he has enough ego within him to not just give up and go like, okay, my incredible career is going to end in me getting fired or not renewed by one of the top teams. I think he would want to show everyone in the F1 world he still has it in him. I think he would go somewhere, but where would he go? The first team that comes to mind with driver problems and potential vacancies is Red Bull, but that just seems wrong. Hamilton in Red Bull, that's like, I can't come up with any sensible analogy that is valid and that you can say on YouTube, but it's not impossible. There's been a change of management. Horner is no longer in charge, so I feel like with Mekis running the ship, it's not as bad. Would he go back to Mercedes? I don't think that's going to happen either. I think because that would require both of them to kind of go like, oh, we both made a wrong decision, let's have Lewis back, and that would require either Antonelli or Russell to be dropped and for Verstappen to not want to go there. I feel like there's too many different factors going into deciding whether that could even be possible. So I don't think he's going back, at least as a driver. But the one thing that I do see as a possibility is the retirement home champions on the grid, which seems to be Aston Martin. Think about it, they've had the previous Ferrari drivers who failed, or the previous world champions who failed to win it at Ferrari, with Vettel and Alonso both being there. And I feel like the third failed Ferrari driver, former champion, could make perfect sense for them if he doesn't demand $6 billion a year. I think Alonso has actually committed for like an ambassadorship and long term with Aston Martin, so having Hamilton do that and Alonso do that would be kind of funny, because that would just make the rivalry continue way into the future. Or maybe they'd make up, maybe we'd get some we had those Mika Häkkinen and Michael Schumacher Mercedes ads with Rosberg occasionally making an appearance, I feel. Or maybe we'd get one of those Aston ads with Hamilton and Alonso, former rivals now advertising the same car. That would be kind of funny, but I also do see it kind of happening because, if Alonso retires or they get enough of Stroll, or Stroll gets enough of Formula One and decides to go play tennis, I feel like Hamilton wouldn't mind trialing some of that new machinery. Can he bounce back? Personally, it's not looking like he can, because if we look at his past race results, he was P12 in Hungary, a track where he should have been extremely well performing. And Silverstone, he was P4, which is good on his Ferrari standards currently, but I feel like the stage was set for some great Lewis Hamilton performance. We had a wet race. We had the other great wet driver, Verstappen, spin right off. So I feel like, Hamilton should have pulled something out of his bag, one of his best tracks. He is great in the wet, yet nothing really came of it. And Hungary, I just expected a lot more. I don't really have a lot to say about that. Obviously there were factors, but still. However, next year is a clean slate with him having more input on the car development and everything else. He's going to be more accustomed to the team. Obviously, I don't know if he's going to have preferential treatment. I hope not. That would be unfair to Leclerc, but you never know with Fred Vasseur. He may have that GP2 Hamilton connection that he'll be like, no, I just want to put all my eggs in the Lewis Hamilton basket. I want to put all my eggs in Lewis Hamilton type. Maybe maybe we'll get some questionable decisions. It would be very Ferrari-esque. But I think Monza is the first hurdle that he needs to take on. But you never know with Ferrari. Maybe Ferrari's gonna pull some classical Monza magic like they did last year. But even then, I don't think Hamilton would win Monza because he'd still have to beat Leclerc even if they were the clear-cut fastest car. But let me know, do you think Hamilton can bring it back? Can he come up from this slump? Can he maybe get a podium at Monza? Do you think we've seen the best already? Do you think that China sprint win is as good as it's gonna get and we're gonna be Hamiltonless next year? Let me know what you think about the situation. My name's Hafo Alais, and as always, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. Tune in on Sunday. We'll do a post-race chat once again. If quali is hectic, we might do a post-quali chat on Saturday. As always, listen to my music. Go watch that video. Apparently, that's the best one for you according to the algorithm, or subscribe from there. And yeah, here's some music. Go stream it.